are pleased to introduce to you all our very honored guests. First, we would like to welcome to the stage Christopher Columbus. Welcome to our show. When were you born?
I was born between August and October of 1451 in Genoa, Italy.
Wow, what was your first job?
My first job was when I was 14. I worked on a ship. One of the most important things I learned while working on a ship was how to steer the ship while out at sea.
It is very important. How did you get knowledgeable about sailing?
I lived in Lisbon for 9 years. My brother and I got a map making job. We would ask the captains coming into port where the islands and seas were so we could place them on the correct spot on the map.
Wonderful. How many sailing trips did you make in search of gold and other riches?
I made 4 trips. They were not easy. My crew members got sick. We even lost the ship. One of the most important things I learned while working on a ship was how to I died thinking that I found the Indies. However, I had not. I had found a new passageway between Europe and America.
Yes, you did. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining our show. And now we welcome to the stage Audie Murphy. You are a true American war hero. What made you want to join the military?
I was born to a poor farming family in Texas. I had to leave 5th grade to go harvest cotton for my family. The attack of Pearl Harbor in World War II inspired me to join the military. I was too young, but my sister helped me change the birth certificate so I could join.
Oh, wow. Did you earn any medals?
Yes, in fact, I earned several medals for different acts of bravery. My most proudest medal was the Medal of Honor for stopping a German attack all by myself.
That's amazing. How did you stop the attack all by yourself?
I ordered my men to fall back into a nearby wood so they could get to safety. Then I jumped onto a burning tank and used a 50 caliber machine gun to hold them back. I killed at least 20, maybe more. Also, I was on the tank. I radioed for reinforcements.
Was the attack over at that point?
No, then my men launched a counterattack. The reinforcements came, and even though I was wounded badly in the leg, I still led the counterattack.
Oh, wow. How many medals did you earn while you were in the military?
I earned 28 medals and other awards, making me the most decorated soldier in United States history. A movie was even made about me called Hell and Back. I starred in it. I became a famous actor when I left the military. I died in a plane crash at only the age of 46.
That is tragic. Well, thank you for joining us today. I'd like to introduce to you now Pat Summit. Pat, when were you born and what are you known for?
I was born in Clarksville, Tennessee, June 14, 1952. I had 3 older brothers and 1 younger sister. Growing up, people called me Trish. I am American women's basketball head coach. I had over 1,000 career wins. That is the most in basketball college history.
Oh, that's wonderful. How was early life of coaching?
At 22 years old, I became head coach. And during my first year, 4 of my players were only 1 year younger than I was. I earned $250 a month and washed my players' uniforms. One time we had a road trip game and we had to sleep at the other team's gym on mats and sleeping bags.
Sounds like an adventure. What are some of your accomplishments?
I won a silver medal at the Summer Olympics 1976. I was named basketball head coach in the Century 2000.
That's a great accomplishment. What else did you do outside of coaching?
I wrote 3 books about motivational and biography. The last book I wrote was called Sum It Up, about my life and being diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease.
I see. So tell us about your family life and health.
I married Ross Summit in 1980. I had one son, and I retired coaching in 2011. I re- I had di- I re- I died. I had Alzheimer's disease in 2012. I created a foundation to raise money and for research.
Now I would love to introduce you to General John Reynolds. General John Reynolds, when and where were you born?
I was on September 21st, 1820, Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
That's pretty close. Did you go to school before the Army?
Yes, I did. I attended a school in Long Green, Maryland, and then Lancaster Academy. After school in 1837, I was nominated to join the United States Academy, where I graduated 26th and 50 cadets.
That's very good. How many different wars and battles did you fight in?
I fought in 2 wars. The first one was the Mexican-American War. That war had 2 battles I fought. The second one was the American Civil War. I fought 5 different battles, as the Battle of Gettysburg was my last.
So what kind of general were you?
I was a major general. That means I was close to the highest rank and I had 2 stars.
Amazing. When you died, did you leave a legacy?
I died the first day of battle of Gettysburg, July 1st, 1863. I was known as one of the best generals in the military in Lancaster County. In Lancaster, Pennsylvania, there is a John F. Reynolds Middle School in my name.
That's right. Well, thank you for joining us today, General John Reynolds. Okay, now I'd like to welcome to our show Amelia Earhart. Hi, Amelia. When were you born?
I was born July 24th, 1897 in Atchison, Kansas.
Did you always want to be a pilot?
Actually, no. I saw planes when I was younger, but didn't really like them. It wasn't until my early 20s when I saw stunt planes and realized that maybe I could fly planes too.
So interesting. Can you tell me about your first big flying accomplishment?
In June of 1928, I flew with Bill Schultz and Slim Gordon and became the first woman to fly across the Atlantic. It was awesome.
How exciting. Do you have any other big flights that you took?
Yes. In 1953, I became the first woman to fly solo across the Pacific. I drank some hot cocoa in the air to celebrate.
That's amazing. Well, how did you die?
Well, you see, no one really knows. While I was on my last flight to be the first woman to fly around the world, I disappeared, and to this day, no one knows what happened to me.
Well, it is a mystery and we don't know about that your death. Thank you for joining us today, Amelia. And now I'd love to welcome Sally K. Rye to our show. Hey, Sally, when were you born?
I was born May 26, 1951 in Encino, California.
And what were your favorite subjects in school?
I loved math and science. I got a PhD in physics from Stanford University.
Wonderful. When did you become an astronaut?
In 1977, I was one of 25 people who were hired out of 8,000 that applied for a newspaper ad from NASA.
What was the most exciting thing that happened in your life?
On June 18th, 1983, I became the first American woman astronaut in space on the Shuttle Challenger.
What was your favorite thing to do after being an astronaut?
I loved teaching children math and science, and especially inspiring girls to become confident scientists.
And that is a wonderful accomplishment. Thank you for joining us today.
I was born March 16th, 1751, in Port Conway, Virginia, to my parents James Sr. and Nutty Madison.
When were you the President of the United States of America?
I was the fourth President of the United States from 1809 to 1817. I served 2 terms as the President.
Why were you given the nickname Father of the Constitution?
I helped John Jay and Alexander Hamilton write the Federalist Papers. These papers helped people understand the original Constitution.
That's very helpful. What made you want to declare the War of 1812?
Great Britain was trying to limit our trades and take our cargo. I was not going to let that happen. I asked Congress to declare war on June 1st, 1812.
Do you have any interesting facts about yourself or a funny story?
Yes, I was the shortest president at 5 feet 4 inches. One time, my friend Thomas Jefferson and I were taking a leisurely Sunday carriage ride when we got arrested. Apparently, carriage rides on a Sunday were illegal.
Oh no. Well, thank you for sharing your story. It's very interesting. I'd love to introduce to you now Jacqueline Cochran. Jacqueline, when were you born?
I was born on May 11th, 1906 in Muskogee, Florida. But growing up, my family of 7 lived in poverty and moved between Florida mill towns.
What was your greatest accomplishment?
Well, that's hard to say because I had many great accomplishments. One being that I was the first woman to fly faster than the speed of sound. I also was the first woman to fly a bomber across the Atlantic. I would say the most toughest time I went through was my childhood growing up. I never knew who my parents were. I was raised by a foster family. We were very poor. I often slept on the floor. When I was a teenager, I picked my last name from a phone book.
How long have you been flying for?
I have been flying for about 48 years. On August 17th, 1932, I received my pilot's license.
So what is your goal?
I had a few goals. One being that I wanted to create a training program that trains thousands of women to be pilots. Another goal of mine I had was in the late 1952. I began training on jet aircrafts with the goal of breaking the sound barrier, which I achieved the goal.
Wonderful achievement. Thank you for joining us today, Jacqueline. I'd love to introduce to you now Milton S. Hershey. Mr. Hershey, what was your biggest accomplishment?
The Milton Hershey School for Orphan Boys, it was very dear to my heart since Kenny and I couldn't have children.
What year were you born?
I was born September 13, 1857 in the wonderful town Derry, Pennsylvania.
Fairly close by. What year was the Hershey Chocolate Factory established?
It was completed in 1905 and was another one of my biggest accomplishments that I'm proud of.
You know the names of the 2 main streets in Hershey, Pennsylvania?
Well, that is easy. Every street is named after one of my chocolates or a success, but the two main ones are Cocoa Avenue and East Chocolate Avenue.
Oh, sounds delicious. Who did you leave your personal life savings to?
The Milton Hershey School to help children to continue to have a future education and for the children in need was my biggest accomplishment that I'm proud of because I know Kitty would have wanted it too.
That's a great legacy. Thank you for joining us today. I'd love to introduce to you now Walt Elias Disney. Welcome. When were you born?
I was born December 5th, 1901, to Elias and Flora Disney. I lived on a farm with 3 brothers, Herbert, Raymond, and Roy, and younger sister Ruth.
Sounds like a lovely family. Where did you go to school?
I went to Benton Grammar School in Kansas City. I actually met Walter Pfeiffer there, who introduced me to the world of motion pictures. I started Saturday courses at Kansas City Art Institute. Then I dropped out of high school to join the Army, but I was rejected because I was too young. August 2nd, 1923, I started Laugh-O-Grams. With their success, I bought my own studio, but unfortunately the studio went bankrupt. In 1924, my brother and I quickly pulled our money and bought a studio in Hollywood. Like I say, keep moving forward.
Very good. When did you first create Mickey Mouse and your first movie?
Mickey Mouse was my first cartoon. I created him August of 1928. I wanted to call him Mortimer, but my wife advised against it and suggested Mickey.
Did you have any children?
Yes, December 18th, 1933, my wife Lily and I had a beautiful baby girl we named Diane Marie Disney. 3 years later, we adopted a little girl we named Sharon May Disney. I love being a dad. In fact, my girls were the inspiration for Disneyland.
That's an inspiring story, and thank you for sharing with us today. Now I'd love to welcome Laura Ingalls Wilder to our show. Welcome, Laura. When and where were you born?
I was born February 7th, 1867, in the big woods of Wisconsin. My family lived in a small cabin.
Who were your family members?
I had 3 sisters named Mary, Carrie, and Grace. I also had a brother named Freddie who died when he was a baby. We had a dog named Jack, and my parents were Ma and Pa. Their real names were Caroline and Charles Ingalls. I married Almanza Wilder, and we had a daughter named Rose.
Did your family do any traveling?
Yes, my pa had itchy feet to go new places, so we moved around a lot. We traveled in a covered wagon that held all of our possessions: our beds, our pots and pans, our clothes, tools, food, and us. Jack, the dog, would walk under the wagon everywhere we went.
Sounds like an adventure. What were your favorite things to do as a child?
I loved exploring just like my pa. I liked to play with my sister Mary out in the fields on the prairies and in the water when we lived near the creek. I also liked going to school to learn new things.
That is wonderful. And what are you famous for?
I am famous for writing books about my life as a pioneer girl. I had many memories of my family's travels, and I wanted people to remember the pioneer days.
That's great. We are so glad you did so. Thank you for joining us today, Laura. Good afternoon. I'd like to continue our show and ask, invite Miss Sally Rye. Yeah. Welcome, Miss Sally Rye. Can you tell us when you were born?
I was born in Encino, California, May 26, 1951.
Very good. What sport did you love to play?
I love to play tennis. I was the 20th best player for 12 girls and under.
That's wonderful. What did you go to college for?
I went to college to study physics. I always like to look at the star, moons, and planets.
That's wonderful. When did you become an astronaut?
I became an astronaut 1978 when I was selected by NASA.
When was the first time that you went to space?
The first time that I went to space was June 18, 1983 on the STS-7 mission.
Wow, that's so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing and being with us today. Now I'd like to welcome to our show Mr. Thomas Stonewall Jackson. Mr. Jackson,
was born January 21st, 1824, in Clarksburg, Virginia.
Where did you attend school?
I attended school at U.S. Military Academy at West Point.
Where did you meet General Robert E. Lee?
I met General Robert E. Lee in the Mexican War.
How did you get your nickname, Stonewall?
I got my nickname Stonewall by a general reportedly saying, "Look, there's Jackson standing like a stone wall."
That's very interesting. Very good. How did you die?
I died from pneumonia at the age of 39, May 10th, 1863.
Very good. Thank you so much for your service and joining our show today. We would now like to welcome Mr. Thomas Jefferson to our show. Mr. Jefferson, where were you born?
I was born on April 13, 1743 in Shadwell, Virginia colony, on my family's plantation. My father taught me how to run the plantation.
Very good. That's wonderful. What was your greatest accomplishment?
My greatest accomplishment was writing the Declaration of Independence. I wrote the Declaration of Independence because I wanted people to have protected rights and a fair government.
That's right. We appreciate that. That's wonderful. You were our third president. How did you help the United States during your presidency?
I bought the Louisiana Territory, and I sent Lewis and Clark to explore the new land.
Very good. And I understand you were an inventor. What things did you invent?
I invented a device for copying letters, a swivel chair, and a more efficient plow. I also loved architecture, so I put a dome on my house, Monticello.
Right. And I mean, it's beautiful. You like to spend a lot of time there, and I don't blame you. What an interesting life. What is something most people don't know about you?
I died July 4th, 1826. Exactly 50 years later from signing the Declaration of Independence. A couple hours later, my friend John Adams died too.
And you devoted your life to the American people and government. We really appreciate all that you did for our country. Thank you so much for being on our show today. Now welcome Miss Martha Washington to our show. When is your birthday and where were you born?
I was born on June 6, 1731, in New Kent County, Virginia.
Tell me about your childhood.
I learned to read and write at a young age, and I was the oldest of 8 children.
That's wonderful. How many children did you have?
I had 4 children: Daniel, Martha, Francis, and John.
Yep, John and Daniel, Martha and Francis. You had 2 girls and 2 boys. That's
Mhm.
wonderful. What made you the proudest about your life?
I was shy at first, but I set an example how to influence the job as First Lady and my kids.
Were you known as anything other than Martha?
I was known as the First Lady and Lady Washington.
That's right. And we thank you for your service to our country as well. Thank you for being here today. We now welcome to our show Mr. Ulysses S. Grant. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Point Pleasant, Ohio. I was born on April 27, 1822. My birth name is Hiram S. Grant. In West Point, they signed me up as Ulysses, and I didn't change it.
Very interesting. What is your favorite hobby?
I really enjoy taming horses. In West Point, I signed up to tame horses and turn them into war horses.
That's awesome. I love horses too. What are some of your accomplishments?
I fought in 2 wars, the Mexican-American War and the Civil War. In the Civil War, I helped the Union win, and I was also named General of the Civil Army. and I also was elected president in 1869. I married Julia Dent, and we had 2 children, Frederick Dent Grant and Ulysses S. Grant Jr. I was diagnosed with throat cancer, and I died in 1885. After Mark Twain finished my bibliography, you can see my tomb in New York.
Yes, I have 2 children, Lisette and Pompey.
When were you born?
I do not know the exact date, but I know it was in May of 1788.
What are you known for?
People know me well because I helped keep peace between the expedition and any Indians we met.
What are some survival skills you have?
I am an expert food gatherer and can tell which plants are poisonous.
Oh, very interesting. Where do you live?
I live in Lem County, Idaho, and belong to the Shoshone tribe.
Thank you so much for being here and sharing with us today. We would like to welcome now Ms. Betsy Ross to our show. Ms. Ross, please tell us when you were born.
I was born January 1st, 1752 in Gloucester, New Jersey to Samuel and Rebecca Griscom.
Did you have any brothers and sisters?
Yes, I was the 8th out of 17 brothers and sisters, 6 brothers and 10 sisters. William and Sarah died before I was born. Only 8 of my siblings made it to adulthood, and the other 8 died when they were still kids.
Wow, it's a lot of children and then also a lot of loss. We're very sorry to hear that. Where were you married? Or were you ever married?
I was married 3 times. First to John Ross, we were married for 2 years. Second to Joseph Ashburn, we were married for 3 years. And third to John Claypole, we were married for 34 years. And sadly, all 3 made me a widow. Yes, I had 7 girls. 2 with Joseph Ashburn, and 5 with John Claypole.
What was the most exciting thing that happened to you?
I made the first American flag, which had 13 stars and 13 stripes, which became the official flag of the United States of America.
Well, I worked as a merchant on a ship when I was a teenager, and then pirates attacked and sunk our ship. By God's grace, I floated on a scrap of wood and made my way to Lisbon. By then, I've been very fascinated by the sea, and that's where I studied history, astronomy, and navigation. I was determined to find a direct route west from Europe to Asia. It will be quicker instead of having to sail through the coast of Africa. It took a long time to convince people, but finally, Spain's Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand agreed to fund the voyage. Ah, yes. It was the Santa Maria, Nina, and Pinta. Unfortunately, the largest ship in our expedition, the Santa Maria, sunk after hitting the reefs, so I ordered the crew to strip its timber and build a fort on the shore. Oh, it was not easy. Crew living and sleeping on the same deck, especially when they were off duty. You couldn't get enough sleep while the other sailors stomped around you. With heat and dampness for so many days, our food had maggots. We usually wait until it's dark so we didn't see the maggots in it when we ate our porridge.
No, I never got married, so I didn't have any children. I spent all my time helping soldiers and their families. Yes, I'm the youngest. I have 2 sisters and 2 brothers. I felt like I had 3 mothers and 3 fathers because they took such good care of me. Yes, I have 4 jobs. First, I was a teacher. Second, I worked at the patent office. Third, I was a nurse in the Civil War. And fourth, I started the American Red Cross. I was born in North Oxford, Massachusetts, on Christmas Day of 1821. I died on April 12, 1912, in my home in Glen Echo, Maryland. Yes, I have 2 nicknames. My first nickname is Angel the Battlefield because I look like an angel helping wounded soldiers. My second nickname is Clara because my real name is Clarissa.
No, I was born Phoebe Ann Moses. Annie Oakley is my stage name. My family needed food, so I used my father's old rifle, and we were never hungry again. I entered sharpshooting contests and won almost every contest. I also sold my extra game to local restaurants. I married Frank Butler. We had a dog, but we didn't have any children. I donated money to orphanages, hospitals, and the Red Cross. I helped several young women and mothers have an education. I also encourage people to be safe with guns by offering free lessons and pamphlets.
I was born on March 14th, 1879 in Ulm, Germany. I was the oldest child and had 1 younger sister.
That's very good. Did you like school?
Yes, my favorite subject was math, but my classes became boring because I already knew more than what was being taught, and I asked questions I knew the teachers could not answer. This got me expelled from school.
Oh no. Were you always more advanced than your classmates?
No, I didn't talk until I was 3. I was a shy and quiet child and liked to be alone. A teacher once told me that I would never amount to anything and I was a foolish dreamer.
What was your career?
My first job was in a patent office reading applications for new inventions. Later, I became a professor to teach physics. I taught in universities all around the world, but later in life, I moved to the United States and I worked at Princeton University.
That is excellent. What is your greatest accomplishment?
When I won the Nobel Prize for my theory of relativity, E equals mc squared.
Oh, we are so glad you did. Thank you for joining us today, Albert Einstein. Now I'd like to welcome George Washington Carver to our show. Okay, welcome. When and where were you born? And who were you raised by?
I was born in 1864 in Diamond Grove, Missouri, where I was raised by Moses and Susan Carver.
Where did you go to college, and who helped you make this decision?
I attended Simpson College. John and Helen Milholland helped me make this decision.
I see. And what
Most people called me the Peanut Man because I had figured out many ways to use the peanut. I did not only know how to help with the peanut, I also figured out that plantains, herbs, and honey helped cure sore throats. I taught my lessons in written bulletins and brochures. I taught my students how to use natural resources wisely. I was able to teach at country fairs and other schools. At the Tuskegee Institutes, I helped build the first farming lab.
That's very exciting. Why did the U.S. Congress allow you more than 10 minutes to speak?
They liked hearing about my knowledge of the peanut. They wanted to hear more.
And just like we do as well, thank you for joining and sharing your story today. Now I would love to introduce the Queen of Sheba to our show. When were you born?
Traditions put my date of birth in the last half of the 11th century BCE and my passing away in around 955 BCE. No, I am also known as the Queen Makeda.
What are you most known for?
I'm famous for a story in the Bible's Book of Kings. I visited Jerusalem to test the legendary wisdom of kings with carbon of riches. King Solomon answered all the questions to my satisfaction, after which we exchanged gifts and I turned to my territory.
So what land does Sheba represent?
The land of Sheba is also known as the ancient Ethiopia.
And how do Ethiopians think that the Ark of the Covenant came to them?
Ethiopians see their country as God's chosen nation, the final resting home that God chose for the Ark of the Covenant. And I, the Queen of Sheba, and my child Menelik are the meanings by which it came there. I am considered as the mother of their nation, and the kings of the land have divine right to govern because they have came directly from me.
Right. Thank you very much for coming and sharing your story today. I'd like to welcome Eric Little to our show. Welcome, Eric. What are you known for?
I am known for winning the gold Olympic medal in the 400 meters and my missionary work in China.
That's amazing. So when did you realize that God made you so fast?
When I was in high school, I won every race I was in.
Incredible. Why did you not run on a Sunday? What's the big deal?
The Sabbath was a day of rest, and I went to practice what I truly believed.
Very good. Why did you retire from the Olympics instead of continuing to win medals?
God was calling me back to China to spread the word of God.
So you were following God's calling for your life. That's wonderful. What is your most famous quote?
I believe God made me for a purpose, but he also made me fast, and when I run, I feel his pleasure.
Well, how did you die?
I died in a Chinese internment camp. I worked very hard in the camp, helping the elderly, teaching science and sports to children, and teaching about Jesus. I eventually died from a brain tumor at 43 years of age.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Eric Little. Now I'd love to introduce you, Wyatt Earp, to our show. When and where were you born?
I was born Wyatt Barry Strapp Earp on March 19th, 1848 in Monmouth, Illinois.
What were you most famous for?
I defeated the biggest outlaw gang of the Old West.
What happened in the OK Corral?
My brothers, Doc Holliday, and I, who were all lawmen, had a 30-second shootout with the biggest group of outlaws called the Cowboys. It is the most famous shootout in the American Old West.
Sounds so exciting. Now, why was the OK Corral shootout important?
The shootout happened during a time in the Old West when the frontier was an open range for outlaws, mostly unopposed by lawmen.
Of all your dangerous gunfights, how many times were you wounded?
Amazingly, I was never shot, not once. Not a single bullet grazed me. I lived to be 81 years old.
Wow, what an amazing life you've lived. Thank you for sharing today with us.
was born in Baltimore, Maryland on July 2nd, 1908. At first, it was Darrell Good, but my friends kept making fun of me and they weren't very nice, so I changed it to Durgood. I am the first black judge to serve in the Supreme Court. Well, yes, indeed. My biggest case was Brown versus Board of Education, where African American kids of any, could go to any school they want, no matter their skin color.
Do you have any other big accomplishments?
Why, yes. There is a airport in Maryland. That's my name on it. BWI, Thurgood Marshall International Airport. My friends call me Mr. Civil Right because that's just what I fight for.
That's right. Well, thank you for joining us today, Thurgood Marshall. And now we have for our show President Abraham Lincoln. Welcome, Abraham Lincoln. When were you born?
I was born February 12th, 1809 in Harsontown, Kentucky. I became the United States 16th president in 1861. I had 2 siblings, a brother named Thomas and a sister named Sarah. I issued the Emancipation Proclamation that declared slaves free in year 1863. I helped create Kansas, West Virginia, and Nevada.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you for joining our show today.
I am a former gymnast who competed for the Soviet Union. I won a combined 4 gold medals and 2 silver medals at the Summer Olympic Games in 1972 and 1976. May 16, 1955 in the Soviet Union. I'm 68 years old. I was most famous for my uneven bars and my balance beam routines, and I am also most known for my charismatic personality.
Yes, we see that. At what age did you begin gymnastics?
I started training at 8 years old and entered my first competition at 14.
Wow, that's very young. What did you do after retiring from gymnastics?
My family and I moved to the United States, where I was a gymnastics coach and a motivational speaker.
What a wonderful way to use your gifts. Thank you for joining us today, Olga. Now I'd like to introduce to you Meriwether Lewis. Welcome, Meriwether. Thank you for coming to our show. When were you born?
I was born August 18th, 1774 in Ivy, Virginia. I was born and lived on the Locust Hill Plantation.
Did you go to school?
No, I did not go to school until I was 13 years old. I had a passion for the outdoors and spent most of my time hunting and gathering herbs for medicine.
Very outdoorsy. Why are you famous?
I was chose by President Jefferson to lead the expedition to the West after the Louisiana Purchase. I spent most of my time, we studied and traveled a route from St. Louis, Missouri to the Pacific Ocean in Oregon. It was a long and treacherous journey.
Oh, it sounds dangerous. When did you die?
I died October 11th, 1809 at the age of 35 years old. I died from gunshot wounds.
Very tragic. But thank you for joining us today.
I was born on August 1st, 1779 in Frederick County, Maryland. Yes, I married Mary Polly Taylor Lloyd and have had 11 children. Since I was a lawyer, I was asked to help negotiate the release of Dr. William. The bombing of Fort McHenry lasted for 25 hours. After the bombing, I saw that the flag was still standing. I felt inspired in that moment to write down the words for a poem.
I was born in 1863 in my family's farm, Dearborn, Michigan. I really like to build things. I like to take apart watches to see how they worked. I had a wife named Clara, who I married in 1888, and I had one son named Edsel. I started for Ford Motor Company in 1893. 1903. I built the Model T. I created the assembly line, which allowed cars to be assembled faster. At a cheaper price for mass production.
I started playing soccer when I was a young kid because my brother Garrett encouraged me at playing sports. We moved a lot because my dad was in the Air Force, so I spent a lot of time with my brother. One of my biggest soccer successes is I was the youngest player to play for the women's national soccer team at the age of 15. I played for a women's national soccer team for 17 years and won 2 World Cups, one in 1991 and one in 1999. I've won 2 gold Olympic medals, one in 1996 and one in 2004. I have also held the record of the most international goals scored until June 2013, until my teammate Abby Wambach broke my record. I started a foundation called Mia Hamm Foundation. It is dedicated to the bone marrow research. It is important to me because my brother Garrett died of a rare blood disease after I won my gold Olympic medal in 1996.
I was born and raised in Lancaster, Ohio. I was one of 11 children. I served as a general in the Union Army in the Civil War from 1861 to 1865. I was known for the March to the Sea, where my army took over the Carolinas and Georgia. During the Battle of Bull Run, I was shot in the knee and the shoulder. After serving in the Army, I became a banker in California.
I always loved to fly. In fact, I got my pilot's license before my driver's license. Yes, I went to college and studied aeronautical engineering. I joined the military as a pilot. I went to Korea and fought in the Korean War. I flew in many missions. Well, I wasn't alone up there. My friend Buzz Aldrin was up there with me. We spent about 12 hours collecting dust and rocks to bring back. Did you know that our footprints are still on the moon? After 3 weeks of quarantine, I went back to my normal life. I was very famous. People most remember me by my speech I made on the moon. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. I lived a very full and exciting life. I was born in Hartford, Connecticut, July 19th, 1814. My parents were Christopher Colt and Sarah Cadwell Colt. Yes, I had 5 children with my wife, Elizabeth Jarvis, but only one survived in infancy. When the United States government ordered 1,000 Colt revolvers. That was the day that my revolver became the best known firearm in the world. At the age 47, I had an infection that may have been pneumonia. Because I fought for the rights of women and the establishment of slavery. I was born on November 22nd, 1744 in Weymouth, Massachusetts. I was the wife of John Adams, the second President of the United States. My nickname was Miss President because I write letters to my husband about politics. I had 4 children. My son, John Quincy Adams, later became president too.
I was born around the year 1595, and my real name is Mudakota.
Very good. What was your day like as a child?
Well, I was washed in cold water to make me tough. When I was a bit older, I helped farm in the fields, mostly for corn, beans, and squash.
Wow, excellent. How did you pass the time when you were captured by the English in Jamestown?
I studied the Bible and recited the Lord's Prayer and the Apostles' Creed.
That's a wonderful way to spend your time, for sure. Why was your marriage to John Rolfe so important?
My marriage to John Rolfe was so important to me because it brought peace between the England and my father's tribe.
That's right, very nice. Did you like visiting England?
Yes, I very much enjoyed visiting England, and I wish to stay. Our visit showed that Native Americans and the English could live and learn from one another. I was America's first convert to Christianity, and my conversion helped spread the gospel to my tribe.
Excellent, that's so wonderful. We thank you for your contribution to America. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to our show, Mr. Wilbur Wright and Orville Wright, representing the Wright brothers. When were you born?
I, Wilbur Wright, was born in Millville, Indiana, April 16th, 1876.
Very good, 1867, excellent. How many siblings did you have?
Our mother had 7 children: Rachelyn, Lauren, Ida, Otis, Wilbur, Orville, and Catherine.
Wow, that's wonderful. Where did you grow up?
Our family settled in Dayton, Ohio, where we made our newspaper, the West Side News, and opened a bike shop which gave us the skill and profit to support our aviation experiments.
That's right, excellent. What are you known for?
We are celebrated as heroes for our revolutionary contributions to science and engineering. After many bumps, bruises, and mechanical failures, we never gave up. On December 17th, 1903, we were the first 2 men to successfully launch a piloted powered flight. When the plane went aloft 95 seconds and covered 852 feet.
Wow, that's amazing. A way to be persistent. Where was your first flight?
We studied articles that the Smithsonian gave us. We needed a spot with steady winds and soft landing. We wrote a letter to the Weather Service, and they gave us a whole list, but we picked Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, because it had steady winds and a soft beach for landing.
That's right. Thank you for your perseverance as we enjoy being able to fly today. And last but not least, we welcome to our show Mr. Martin Luther King Jr. When were you born?
I was born on January 15th, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia. I was born during a time the blacks were not treated equally. I was also born the same time the United States stock market crashed in an event known as Black Tuesday. This led to the Great Depression.
That's right, a very difficult time in our history for sure. What would be the most important event of your life?
When I led over 1 million people in a civil rights march in Washington, D.C. to protest the injustice. This is where I gave my I Have a Dream speech.
Right, what an amazing speech it was that's still remembered today. Why was this event so memorable?
This event happened during a time the blacks started to stand up to segregation and to fight for the God-given rights. People such as Rosa Parks did not refuse to give up her seat on the bus.
Yes, she had such bravery for sure. Why did you choose to protest?
My belief was that blacks deserved to be treated equally as God intended. So I chose to fight peacefully for freedom and justice. My I Have a Dream speech led the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
That's right. We thank you for your peaceful protest for equality. Did you act alone or did you have help?
I did not act alone. There were other influential leaders such as Rosa Parks, W.E.B. Du Bois, and Thurgood Marshall.
Very good. What a huge impact on our country and an amazing legacy. Thank you for being on our show today. And thank you all for being on our show today. Thank you, honored guests, for being with us today. We know you have come a long way, let's say. This concludes our yesterday's show. We hope you guys have all enjoyed our walk through history. We thank you for your support with this show and helping your child or grandchild memorize lines, support them in any way. We know that they worked so hard memorizing their part for this show. If we can give them one more round of applause. So thank you all again for being here. We would love to take a class picture, and then you are free to take pictures as well. So thank you all so much.